Hello everyone, my name is Maria from nursingpersonalstatement.co.uk, and in this video we are going to be looking at 2 trick questions and ways that you can overcome them. Why? Because trick questions are an integral part of every single interview process. However, they're not as crafty as they seem. There is no malicious intent behind a trick question. A trick question is basically a question that makes you feel that you should answer the question in a particular way, or it's a type of question where there is no right answer. Nonetheless, it can still leave people with feelings of uncertainty, but don't worry, it's not as scary as it seems. In this video, we're going to look at 2 trick questions. I'm going to explain why it's a trick question. I'm also going to tell you what the real question is, if there is a real question, and then I'll give you, a couple of approaches that you can take, or a couple of do's and don'ts when it comes to answering that particular trick question. And obviously I am going to make it relevant to nursing practice. Tell me about yourself. A lot of people, what they tend to do is just talk about their hobbies, talk about what they studied, talk about what they enjoy doing in their free time. That's not really what the question is asking you, because if you think about it, I can literally go on the street right now, find the first person and ask them, tell me about yourself, and they'll be able to answer the question. Tell me about yourself. They're going to tell me where they live, what they do for a living, what they like doing in their free time. We don't want a generic response, because anybody, go to a 5-year-old and ask them, maybe not 5-year-old, but go to like a 10 or 11-year-old and ask them, oh, tell me about yourself. They can give you a response, but the response doesn't necessarily add to the quality of your application. So what should you do when you are asked, tell me about yourself? Or what is the real question, or what are the real questions behind tell me about yourself? Because as we've seen from the first trick question, it's not always one question that they're asking you. It could be 2 or 3 questions that they're asking you. There are 3 main points that you want to hit when asked the question, tell me about yourself. The first question is, who are you? Just name and where you're from. So if I'm asked, Maria, tell me about yourself, my first sentence is going to be, so actually maybe not my name because they know what my name is, but my first question is going to be, yeah, my name is Maria, as I've already told you, and I live in England. That's the first line, because I don't really think that first line is necessary, but the reason that's how I approach the questions when I've been interviewed is because I recognize it's a trick question, and because I recognize it's a trick question, sometimes it can throw me off guard. So by me just saying what my name and where I'm from, it just gives me like a millisecond of extra time to remember what it is that I actually need to answer. So that first line where I just say my name and where I'm from, for me it's like my comfort blanket. It just gives me a bit extra time. It's like in an interview or in a presentation when you're kind of caught off guard, and some people might just quickly drink a sip of water if they've got water. Most of the time it's not because they're thirsty, it's because it literally just gives them a millisecond, and a millisecond is very powerful. It literally just gives them a millisecond to remember that it's a trick question and to remember what it is that they actually need to answer. So you can either drink a cup of water very quickly if you're thrown off guard, or you can literally just say what your name is and where you're from. Again, not everybody is going to be thrown off guard when they ask a trick question, but some people may be, and in my past situations, sometimes I have been thrown off trick questions, but that millisecond just kind of helps me to go back to where I need to go to. The second question you want to answer is, why are you qualified for the position that you've applied for? You want to list key experiences, you want to list any, major qualifications that you have. In my humble opinion, doing your GCSEs, doing your A-levels is not really a major qualification, but something that's kind of beyond the track that most people take. When we're interviewing you, we've looked at your statement of interest, we've looked at your application, we know you've done your GCSE, your NVQ level this, or your A-levels. I wouldn't spend a whole bunch of time listing your A-levels, your GCSEs, or any level 2 or 3 qualifications. But if there is a qualification that you have that's really rare or that's really hard to get, then definitely make sure you mention that. And also if you have any relevant experience, for example, if you had a 2-week placement at a hospital that was very hard to get into, or if you had, like, I don't know, you spent 3 months abroad working on a healthcare initiative, then that's things that you want to mention. Make sure that it's relevant to the position that you're applying for. When I say make sure that it's relevant to the position that you're applying for, I'm sure you guys have heard of transferable skills. So say, for example, if you spend, I don't know, 3 months at a tennis academy, Why were you successful in that position? Don't just look at the name of what you did. Why were you successful in that 3-month tennis program or whatever it is that you did? You were successful because you were able to organize your time. You were successful because you were dedicated to what you were doing, despite, you know, how hard it may have been. You overcame those barriers. You were successful because of your communication skills. You was able to take feedback from others. You were successful because you were reflective. You realized, actually, I know that yesterday when I served it this way, it didn't work, but that means that tomorrow I'm not going to serve it this way. Do you understand? Like, it doesn't always have to be. If you're going to list maybe 2 or 3 experiences, not every experience has to be nursing this or nursing that or nursing this. It really is what you learned from it and the skills that you developed and the skills that you demonstrated at that particular event, at that particular experience, at that particular whatever it is. Again, if you do have any relevant nursing experience, make sure you mention it. But what we really want to see is the skills that you use or the skills that you learned and developed while in that particular, I don't know, event or whatever. Even when it comes to like things like awards, even if it may be award like, you know, best football player of the season or best skier of the season, some people may think, oh, this isn't relevant, it doesn't apply to nursing. No, it is relevant, because to gain an award for best footballer, it means you must have been dedicated. You must have attended all the sessions, even when it was raining. It means that you reflected on your practice or on your football skills. It means that you were able to work as part of a team. So it isn't always necessarily what you were doing, but it is how you go about doing it. And again, what skills you developed or what skills, you know, you were able to improve upon in that particular time or that particular event, award, experience, or whatever it was. I hope that makes sense. The third question that you want to answer when you are asked the trick question, tell me about yourself, is why are you here? Why do you want a place here? Why should your application be successful? Why do you want to become a student nurse, or why do you want to develop into the role of a nurse? What qualities and skills do you have? Like, why are they relevant? Why is all that you are and all that you bring, why is it a necessity? Because really that's what you want to convey to the person who is interviewing you. You want to let them know that I am an asset, I am a necessity, you need me. Why? That's what you want to relay when you are asked, tell me about yourself. So it's not just a simple question, tell me about yourself. Like I said, anybody can answer that question. What you really want to answer is, who are you? Why are you qualified for the position that you've applied for? And why are you here? So at this point, we know what 2 trick questions are. Tell me your biggest weakness and tell me about yourself. We've also gone through why they're trick questions. The reason why I place a lot of emphasis on explaining why those 2 trick questions are trick questions is because, let's be real, they are not the only trick questions that you may be asked during your interview process. So I'm just hoping that by explaining why they are trick questions, you'll be able to recognize any other trick questions that you may or may not be asked during your interview. Because some of you guys may not be asked, what is your biggest weakness? Or can you tell me about yourself? But you may be asked a trick question like, if you're on a desert island, what 3 things would you bring? Or you may be asked a question like, what is your biggest strength? I haven't gone through every single type of trick question, but I am hoping that, you know, by explaining why these 2 trick questions are trick questions, you'll be able to apply it to your practice in the future. Anyway, I hope this video was super helpful for all of you. I really like making these videos, so make sure you give this video a like to support this channel. Also visit nursingpersonalstatement.co.uk. On that website, we basically give you nursing specific academic support.